Good morning, students, the future chartered accountant of our country. I am C. Ankit Sharma, again, your income tax faculty for today's session. Today, we will be discussing the capital gain. It's our fourth session for this topic. In last three sessions, we discussed the basic of capital gain, the definitions, the concept of transfer and capital asset, the definition of long-term capital asset and short-term capital asset, the indexation concept, then the special provision for cost of acquisition, and the special provision for cases in which transfer does not regarded as transfer. The 15th case of transfer does not regarded as transfer, the practical implication we discussed in last classes. Then we discussed like advance money forfeited, and there are certain cases in which chargeability of capital gain has been deferred. That was the conversion of capital asset into stock in trade, compulsory acquisition, destruction of capital asset, of course. So these were the cases we discussed. Those were special cases. Then last session we discussed the depreciable assets capital gain procedure, the slum sale capital gain provision, and some provision regarding the special cost of acquisition in case of equity shares on which STT has been paid at the time of purchase as well as time of sale, and equity oriented fund on which STT has been paid at the time of transfer. And if those have been purchased before a specific date, then to find out the cost of acquisition has been specifically have a separate provision in which we have to compare the higher of actual cost, or first of all the lower of sales consideration, or the FMV, whichever is lower, that lower has to be compared with the actual cost of acquisition of that property, and the higher will be your cost of acquisition in certain cases. We also discussed some example regarding that. Then I hope everything should be clear till now, and I believe that you all are studying very hard. So again, chilling good morning to all of you. Sat Sri Akal, Vadakkam, Suprabhat, Namaskar, good morning, Kem Cho, Subha Bakhair, and we will start with MCQ. So please, you should have a paper, pen, and a calculator. So we can start the procedure of our MCQ sheet. Before that, good morning wishes from Madhav, Neha, Kiran. Parth is saying, good morning, sir. I am ready to get some lesson you provide during lectures. It helps to keep myself on track. Well said. Next, Mohammad Suhail, good morning. Ajay Chauhan, good morning. Sushil, good morning. Parsatre, good morning. Koki Nati, Bala Murli, Krishna, good morning, good morning. Sankaran, good morning. Kadambari Bhatt, good morning. Good morning, sir. This is K. Balampurali Krishna. Optimistic morning, sir. Okay, optimistic. Good morning. Okay, Miss Arvind, good morning. Arvind Chaube. Mr. Manohar Yadav, Tumpa Sen, Sante, Anirudh Jadhav, Sakshi Jadhav, Malvikar, Mamta Yadav, Ruturaj, Akram Ansari, Parth Rana. Sir, Kim Cho, Hu Majama. I hope I am in Majama, and I wish all you should have in Majama. Miss Sampurna Roy is asking something. Sir, under section 47, gifts is not treated as transfer and capital gain arises when current owner sold it. But if previous owner gifted to Mr. B, who is a non-resident, and when non-resident, that is current owner, sell it to another non-resident or resident, then capital gain arises in the hands of Mr. B, a non-resident, because income deemed to accrue or arise in India. Yes, Ms. Sampurna, if the current owner is the non-resident and if he transfer that asset to any resident or non-resident, that will be a rise in a capital gain. But if this transfer is outside India, as section 47 says, if they're ADR, GDR, and FCCB, or rupee denomination bond, or government security, which have been transferred by a non-resident to non-resident outside India. In that case, that transaction will be exempt. But as per in your question, the transfer you might want to explain that is in India. So in that circumstances, of course, that is going to be chargeable to tax. Shweta Kumari, good morning. Lokesh, good morning. Hemlata, Ninad Desai, Ashutosh, Anmol, Swaroop, Rasmita, and Suvasini Ben Khalasi, Gayatri, good morning. Monica, Ankur Patel, good morning. Pooja Sayandas. So again, I welcome you all for today's session of income tax regarding the capital gain. So are you ready for the MCQ? You should have a paper, pen, and a calculator. I hope you all have that. So let's get started. So in the last MCQs, so this is our moment of truth. So we have discussed this MCQ till question number 8. So from question number 9, 10, 11, and 12, we have 12 questions in this MCQ sheet. And after that, we also going to discuss one more MCQ sheet. So this is a question. So kindly read it carefully. It says Mrs. R sells a plot of land on 21st November 2023 for 50 lakh. She inherited the plot from her grandfather on 1/4/1995. Okay. Her grandfather had acquired the plot on 1st March 1981 for 2 lakh rupees. The FMV of the plot as on 1/4/2001 was 1,85,000. So compute the capital gain and please apply Manjula Jesha. So this transaction falls under section 47 cases. Section 47, the case which says any gift, will, or irrevocable trust. So that falls in that point. So kindly solve it and you have to apply the provision as per Manjula Jesha. So in any capital gain question, I always asked you that please always write the format like calculation of capital gain in the hands of assessee. So in this case, Mrs. R is the assessee for the assessment year. So what is the period of holding in this case? Because that's a case of gift. That is from her grandfather. And that has been purchased in 1985. So we all know that in the case section 47, in case of gift, etc., we have to take the period of holding from the previous owner. That is from 81-2023. So it will become a long-term capital asset. Now the sale consideration has been given 50 lakh. Clear? Now we have to deduct the index cost of acquisition. For the purpose of index cost of acquisition, we have to find the cost of acquisition in the hands of previous owner. That means her grandfather. So her grandfather purchased that property for 2 lakh, and because it is before 2001, so we have to compare it with the FMB, and whichever is higher. So what is the higher? It's 2 lakh. So cost of acquisition will be 2 lakh multiplied by the year of transfer index 348 and the year in which asset has been purchased by the assessee as per the normal indexation concept. But we have to apply the Manjula Jesha. So we have to take the index of also previous owner. So previous owner acquired that property in 1981. We do not have the index of 1981. So the property which has been purchased before 1/4/2001, we have to take the index of 1/4/2001 to year, that is always 100. So whatever that will be, that is your, I guess, 662,000. So your gain will be, that will not be, that will be 696,000. So that will be 4304000. So I solved it for your convenience because for the next question, I'm going to ask, I will not solve it. Fine. So you have to solve these question like this. So that will be the answer. That is option B will be the correct answer. Okay. Let's see. Anybody solve me the correct answer? Oh, wow. You are faster than me. Amazing. So Girish has been given the correct answer B. Well done, Madhav. Well done. Ruturaj, it's not C. It will be B. Nagarju is saying B. Well done. Hemlata, it's not D. Okay. Manohar is saying B and Ruturaj now saying it's B. Okay. Well done. So most of you are faster than me. Brilliant. Excellent. I appreciate that. Moving on to the second question. The next is question number 10. Mr. Sudeep. Mr. Sudeep Jain, okay, purchased a piece of land on 14th January 1998 for rupees 1 lakh. This land was sold by him on 12th October 2023 for rupees 30 lakh. The market value of the land as on 1st April 2001 was rupees 6 lakh. Expenses on transfer were 3% of sale price. Kindly compute the capital gain in this case. So please solve it. Or B option, just wait. 6,96,000 Mamta was the cost of acquisition. वो cost of acquisition आएगी. उस 696 को आपको 50 लाख में से घटाना है. तो हमें तो कैपिटल गेन ढूंढना है ना ममता. तो कैपिटल गेन ये आपने जो निकाली है 696 ये कॉस्ट है. उसे आप जब घटाएंगे 50 लाख में से तो कैपिटल गेन करेक्ट आंसर बी आएगा. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट इज क्वेश्चन नंबर 10. The correct answer of question number 10 is A, 8,22,000. Well done, Nagarju, Parth, Girish, Neha. It's not C, it's A. So can I calculate? It will be like this. Let me show the solution in short. The sale consideration is 30 lakh. Less 3% expense on transfer, that will be 90,000. Okay. So my net sale consideration will be 29 lakh and 10,000 less index cost of acquisition. The market value is 6 lakh, purchase for 1 lakh. Higher we will take 6 lakh multiplied by 348 upon 100. That will be my cost. Balance will be the answer. Okay, option A. Next is (11). Sudeep acquired the property in the previous year 82-83 for rupees 6 lakh and paid rupees 28,000 as registration charge. The market value of the property as on 1/4/2001 was 20 lakh. Sudeep died. So sorry, Sudeep Sudeep died on 25/11/2017 and the property was transferred to his son Kishore through inheritance. The market value of the property as on 25/11/17 was 50 lakh. Kishore sold this property on 31st July 23 for 1 CR 100 lakh. Compute the capital gain and apply Manjula J. Shah. This is question number 11 for you. Kindly solve it. Look, in calculation, for the purpose of calculation of capital gain, you should understand what we actually need to solve a question. We need assessee. So first of all, in the question, you should find who is the assessee. So assessee is Mr. Kishore. Okay. Then we have to find the period of holding because it's the case of section 47, inheritance, etc. So period of holding will be counted from the previous owner. That was 82 till 2023. So asset is long-term capital asset. That's we should apply now the capital gain provision with indexation. Now sale consideration is a very easy thing. So we have sold that property for 100 lakh. That means sale consideration is 1 crore in this question. Now we come to the cost of acquisition part because the case refers to section 47. So that means cost will be taken from the point of view of the previous owner. That is from Mr. point of view of Mr. Sudeep. So he has purchased the property for 6 lakh and paid registration charges 28,000. So any charges which has been paid at the time of purchase, that means all the expenses till put to use of the property will be the part of your cost. So cost is 6 lakh 28,000. Now we have to compare it with the market value. And market value is 20 lakh. So whichever is higher, in this case, cost of acquisition will be 28 lakh. Now we apply the provision multiplied by the 348 and need to divide it by the 100. That will be our answer. That will come option number B. B will be your correct answer. Okay. You should solve it. If there is any problem, I will help you. A lot of students have sent the correct answer. Well done, everybody. Very nice. Very well done. High five from Wi-Fi. Good. The last question of this sheet is 14. Sudeep acquired a land in 87-88 for rupees 8 lakh and gifted it to Major son Kishore on 1/6/2000. When the market value of the land was 10 lakh. The fair value of that land as on 1/4/2001 was 12 lakh. Kishore sold that land on 25/11/2023 for rupees 50 lakh. Compute the gain as per Manjula J. Shah and assuming that expenses on transfer were rupees 1 lakh. So expense on transfer is 1 lakh. That means net sale consideration will be 49 lakh. Clear? Cost of acquisition will be 12 lakh rupees. Again, the section 47 apply. The period of holding, the cost will be taken from the previous owner. So cost of acquisition will be 12 lakh. Multiplier index is 348 and division index will still remain the 100. So the correct answer will be option number A in this case. Okay. Partner, still market value is higher and then we have to consider it. So if the property has been purchased or acquired before 1/4/2001, then we have to take the market value if it is higher. Okay. The correct answer of question number 12 will be option number A. The second MCQ sheet is here. Again, the moment of truth, that is Sach Ka Samna. Now, these are still starting questions are theoretical, which we have already discussed. Let's see. Conversion of capital asset into stock in trade. Conversion of capital asset into stock in trade. You have to tell which statement is correct. A, B, C, or D. CQ1 of our second sheet. So you have to give me the correct answer, which statement is true in respect of conversion of capital asset into stock in trade. The correct answer is B, will liable to capital gain tax in the previous year. in which such converted asset is sold or otherwise transferred. Well done. Second, again in case of conversion of capital asset into uh, stock in trade, which statement is correct in question number 2 also? Question number 2, correct answer is A. Shall be done till the previous year of conversion of such capital asset. We took the FMV at the time of conversion as sales consideration. We took the period of holding also till the date of conversion, and we take the indexation for the purpose of transfer also for the year in which such conversion took place. Well done. Where a capital asset other than certain urban agricultural land is compulsory acquired, then the capital gain shall arise in the previous year. Where a capital asset other than certain urban agricultural land is compulsory acquired, then the capital gain shall arise in the year. In which year we calculate the capital gain in case of compulsory acquisition? You have to answer in which year we calculate the capital gain. We calculate the capital gain in case of compulsory acquisition. In which year we calculate capital gain in case of compulsory acquisition? Option C is the correct answer. In which part or full consideration is received. Okay. Next, where the entire block of the depreciable asset is transferred after 36 months, there will be which nature of gain arise or loss? If a block of asset of the depreciable asset transfer, then which is the correct answer if it is transferred after 36 months? Very simple question, of course it is. Okay, Miss Rani Valero is saying good morning, good morning. Very late good morning. उठ गई आप? Thank you so much to join our class. Okay, so what is the correct answer of option question number 4? The correct answer is, nobody sent me the correct answer yet. Okay, somebody has sent me. So the correct answer is C, short-term capital gain or loss, because the block has been transferred. So there can be loss or gain, and that will always remain short-term. If one or more asset has been transferred from the block, then it will only be short-term gain. If there is loss, then we do not calculate it. Okay. So next is 5th. Okay, so question number 5, 6, 7, 8. We will discuss later. Let's start the notes. Fine. We will discuss these illustration 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 before the end of today's class. So let's start discussing the provision which are related to today's class. So it says if there is any problem in your life, the solution lies only with you. So if there is any problem, you can discuss it with anyone, but the solution will be with you only. You have to solve it by yourself. Okay. Before that, our today's thought for the day, and ये बहुत ही अच्छा है, मतलब मुझे बहुत ही पसंद आया, और ये बहुत ही अच्छी बात कहता है, आप पढ़ सकते हो. It says, get into the habit of asking yourself. Technically, we can say it's not a quotation. Actually, it's a statement. It's a thought process. Does this support the life I am trying to create? It's so impactful. It's so impressive. So this you should do in your life because you are actually going through the time which is the utmost important in your life. Your this time, like next 2 or 3 or 4 years, will decide your next 40 years how they are going to be. So whatever you are doing today, you have to ask yourself, is it seriously going to support the life you really wanted? Or are you trying to create or the future you actually wanted? So if you want to be a chartered accountant, if you want to earn money with reputation, if you want to fulfill your dreams after 2 or 3 years after becoming a CA, so you should ask yourself regularly that what I'm doing today, is it really going to support to fulfill my dream or not? If you're going to a party or you attend going to some function for 3 or 4 days, you should have to ask yourself, is this going to support to fulfill my dream or not? And believe me, your brain will give you the correct answer. And if you think that it is not going to help you to fulfill your dream, you have to sacrifice those things. So if anything is going and you might be thinking that whether it's going to help you to achieve your goal or not, you should listen to your brain. And if you are going to do this frequently, and I'm telling you, this sentence is so powerful that if you are actually regularly asking yourself this, that whatever I'm doing, is it going to help to fulfill my goal or not? So this question, if you are going to ask you regularly, I promise it will really going to help you. This is so powerful statement. So that was thought for the day. And today we are discussing the part 2, capital gain tax, of course. So in this part 2, we are going to discuss the tax implication. We have separate rate for long-term capital gain. We have separate rate for long-term capital gain under section 112A. 112A, that is specific cost of acquisition cases. That is equity shares on which STT has been paid the time of purchase and sale, those long-term equity assets. Okay. And also equity oriented fund on which STT has been paid at the time of transfer. So we have separate provision of tax rates on those kinds of capital gain. Again, we have specific rates for short-term capital gain. That is under section 111A. What is 111A? That those equity shares which do fall under section 112A, if those relates to short-term nature, then it will be short-term capital gain under section 111A. We have separate tax rate, that is 15%. For 112A, it's 10%. For other long-term capital gain, it's 20%. For other short-term capital gain, it is as per slab rate. For those capital gain arise by a non-resident on which TTBR, etc., or those capital gain which is regarding the, in which for equity shares, we have separate rate with indexation, without indexation. Do not get confused. We will discuss each and everything one by one. So in this chapter, we are going to discuss, we are going to understand how to tax your capital gain. Because we have multiple kind of capital gain, long term, short term. We have long term special 112A. We have short term special 111A. So we have multiple kind of capital gains. So there are separate rates and provision. We will discuss those one by one accordingly. Fine. And the other very important part, the starting part of this chapter deals with the rate of capital gain in different cases. Long-term different rate, short-term different rate. We will discuss these provision later. These are all the rates which needs to be applied in different kind of capital gains. Okay. So we will discuss these page number 1, 2, and 3 provision later. Before that, we have to discuss this topic. This is very important. And in my opinion, if there is a question of capital gain, that is going to include section 54 exemptions also. So we have some exemptions also, or we should say those are not technically the exemption. Those are investment based exemption in case of capital gain. Investment based exemption. Like what? For example, suppose you have a house, you sold it, got the sale consideration, suppose 60 lakh. Your index cost of acquisition, suppose, was 25 lakh. So you have a gain of 35 lakh, long-term capital gain. So generally this gain is taxable at 20%. The tax rate is 20%. On capital gain, there is long-term capital gain. The slab rate does not apply. So this gain is going to be taxable at the rate of 20%. So approximate we have to pay the tax of 7 lakh rupees. Education, cess, etc. is different. Okay. So to avoid this tax, or we could say to save this tax, government has announced some investment schemes. And these are technically will give you the benefit of exemption from capital gain. So these investment scheme, one scheme says that if you sold your residential house and if you're going to buy a new residential house, then you can get the exemption under section 54 so on. Suppose this assessee purchased a new residential house. Of course, there are certain circumstances. Of course, there are certain condition you need to fulfill. But if you are able to fulfill certain condition, and suppose you bought a new residential house for 30 lakh rupees, so that will result in an exemption. In an exemption, if the other conditions are fulfilled under section 54, that 30 lakh can be deducted from your gain. So balance 5 lakh only, you need to pay the tax. That will be rupees 1 lakh. Suppose out of this 35 lakh long-term capital gain, if you bought a new residential house, suppose 40 lakh rupees, then under section 54, you can get the full exemption. You cannot get 40 lakh because the gain is only 35 lakh. So capital gain will be 0. So these exemption are not like exemption of HRA or exemption of gratuity kind of. These are technically exemption which based on certain investment schemes which is prescribed under the act. So we have certain exemption need to discuss under section 54. We have then 54B, 54D, 54EC, and 54F. So these 5 exemption we have to discuss. So these are technically investment scheme, and I suggest you kindly understand these exemption like an investment scheme rather than an exemption, because in every section, section 54, 54B, 54D, 54EC, and 54F, in every section, we need to invest our gain to gain that exemption. These are not like agricultural income exemption that you have the certain exemption. You have to invest your gain as per certain specific condition. Only in that case, you are able to get the exemption. So what are these exemption? What conditions are they? What are the prescribed situation, etc. That we will discuss one by one. And also I explain this exemption in Hindi also. One exemption, section 54, because almost all exemptions have repetitive sections, conditions, almost 80% conditions are almost similar in every exemption. So after discussing section 54 in English, I will explain you that exemption, section 54 in Hindi also. So those are related to Hindi syllabus will also able to understand this exemption very easily. And in my opinion also, even you belongs to an English medium, is even if I explain that in Hindi, that will going to actually make you also understand this exemption very easily. That will really going to help you. So before moving to that exemption, so we have exemption 54, 54B, 54D, 54EC and F. That is based on investment based. One exemption we have just like a pure exemption, section 1037. So first we will discuss the normal exemption, section 1037. Then we will start discussing these exemption 54, 54B, etc. So first of all, section 1037 is here. This is pure exemption. Generally the exemption kind of exemption. That is technically the exemption which technically relates to the nature of exemption. That if you have certain kind of capital gain, that is going to be exempted completely. There is no investment scheme. Except this section 1037, we have these section 50. These are investment based exemption, but this is your pure exemption. And it says any capital gain. And you can see this exemption relates to compulsory acquisition. Clear? So all compulsory acquisition is not exempted under section 1037. Only one compulsory acquisition, if it fulfills certain condition which has been prescribed under section 1037, then only that kind of compulsory acquisition is going to exempted. I am not saying that the all compulsory acquisitions are exempted. Only one kind of compulsory acquisition is exempted. Which kind of? Let's see. It says any capital gain, whether long term or short term. Okay. To an individual or HUF. So this exemption can be claimed only by individual HUF. Clear? From transfer of agricultural land. So if that is your agricultural land, then it can be exempted. So if there is an individual HUF and if you have an agricultural land, now you might be thinking that agricultural land does not fall in the definition of capital asset, because as per section of capital asset, there is an agricultural land which has been excluded from the definition of capital asset. So if it is not a capital asset, why we need this exemption? So let me remind you, that was agricultural land in rural area. We are discussing this agricultural land which is relates to agricultural land in urban area. It's not that agricultural land which relates to the rural area. So it is an agricultural land which is in urban area. If it is an agricultural land which is in rural area, then this we do not need this exemption because that is not a capital asset. So if agricultural land in rural area, that is not a capital asset, whether it's a compulsory acquisition, whether it's a transfer, it's a sale, always does not fall in capital gain, always exempted, you can say. So this exemption only for an agricultural land which is in urban area. Okay. So first condition, that assessee should be individual HUF, and agricultural land, there must be agricultural land, and that is going to be compulsory acquired. Remember, if there is an agricultural land which is in rural area, that is not a capital asset. And because it's not a capital asset, so it is outside the purview of taxability, non-taxable ever. We do not need any exemption as above, whether it's compulsory acquired, whether it's transfer, etc. Leave it, okay? But we are talking about agricultural land in urban area. So the condition says it should be an individual or HUF. The other condition, it should be compulsory acquired. So if I am having an agricultural land in urban area, and if I am transferring it, if I am sell it, then this exemption will not work. This exemption will work only if that property has been transferred via compulsory acquisition. Clear? The third condition important is it should be compulsory acquired. Shall be exempt provided the OC and EC. OC is original compensation, EC is enhanced compensation. We know what is OC and EC. We discussed these things in section 45.5. Is received on or after 1st April 2004. So if the OC and EC, if the OC and EC received on or after 1st April 2004. So OCEC should be received on or after 1st April 2004. And the important thing, one more important thing. This is fourth, OCEC received. That land should have been used for agricultural purpose. That this agricultural land must be used for agricultural purpose. From last 2 years at least. For example, if my agricultural land has been compulsory acquired in 2023, then at least it should have been used for agricultural purpose from last 2 years also. That means from year 21 till 23. It should have been used for agricultural purpose immediately preceding the date of compulsory acquisition by such individual or his parents or by HUA. So it should have been used for 2 years for agricultural purpose. And who should be using it? Whether it's individual using it himself or his parents or HUA. So you can see how many conditions in a single 4-line sentence. At least 5 important conditions you have to remember. That should be individual HUA. That should have been compulsory acquired. OCEC received on or after 1st April 2004. It should be used for agricultural purpose and at least for 2 years immediately preceding the date of compulsory acquisition. And should have been used by the individual himself or his parents or by HUF. So I can explain this in Hindi also because it's a very, we can say, complicated condition in this. So this exemption will work अगर हमारे पास कोई एग्रीकल्चरल लैंड है और हम कौन है इंडिविजुअल या एचयूए ओके और वो एग्रीकल्चरल लैंड कंपल्सरी एक्वायर्ड हो जाती है तो उससे मिलने वाला ओसीईसी एग्जेम्प्ट रहेगा अगर वो 1 अप्रैल 2004 के बाद रिसीव होता है लेकिन वो और उसको यूज कौन कर रहे होने चाहिए या तो खुद इंडिविजुअल या उसके पेरेंट्स या वो एचयूए जिसकी वो लैंड ओके सो सपोज वी आर सेइंग दैट हमारा जो कंपल्सरी एक्विजिशन है वो होता है आज मान लेते हैं ठीक है ना आज है 19 दिसंबर 2023 so we are talking 2 years before this date so that is we are talking about from 20 December 2021 till this date at least for these 2 years it should have been used for agricultural purpose okay now the other condition the second part says this is very simple even compulsory acquisition is before 1/4/2001 so this is not important that when compulsory acquisition has been done so property might have been compulsory acquired in year 2001 or 2002 but OCEC should receive on or after 1/4/2004 so if OCEC received on or after 1/4/2004 that will remain exempt even if the acquisition has been done before 1/4/2001 so that's the same thing it's saying even compulsory acquisition is before 1/4/2001 but compensation is received on or after 1/4/2004 it shall be exempt but if part of OC is received before 1/4/01 and remaining part of OC is on or after 1/4/01 then no exemption of such receipt even after 1/4/01 ये क्या कह रहा है OC has a specific character. The OC or EC. The OC or EC received on or after 1404 will be exempt. This is all about the exemption. The OC/EC received on or after 1401 will be exempt. Suppose the compulsory acquisition has taken place in 2002. Clear? OC was 10 lakh rupees, received in 2005. All other conditions are satisfied. So this OC will remain exempt. Situation number 1. Now situation 2 says, suppose out of this OC, 2 lakh received in 2003 and balance OC 8 lakh received in 2005. So this OC is going to be taxable because it is before 2004. This is going to be taxable or exempt? This is also going to be taxable. This is the provision what this is explaining, this part. Because OC has a special character that if it has been received in full or part, that is going to be taxable full always. So because it has been received in 2003, 2 lakh rupees only, out of the 10 lakh, only 2 lakh received. But for the purpose of calculation in 2003, we must have taken all 10 lakh rupees as capital gain purpose. So because OC has that character, even if you received only 1 lakh rupees out of this 10 lakh, we have to take the full value of consideration, 10 lakh, for the purpose of capital gain. So if in 2003 you received only 2 lakh, that means we would have charged full 10 lakh rupees there. So this 8 lakh does not have any exemption because that is also taxable in the year 2003. So OC received in part, then if any part have been received before 1st April 2004, then full OC is going to be taxable. So that was the exemption, which is pure exemption, having multiple conditions. Now these are the investment scheme based exemption. These are not pure exemption. In these exemption, there is investment required and multiple condition. You can see we have 5 conditions, 5 exemption investment base. I have told you section 54, section 54B, 54D, 54EC and 54F. So after the probably to the calculation of tax, which we have just skipped above. So these 2 topics left, exemption, investment based, and to calculate tax on capital gain in different scenario with different rates and the provision. So before starting further, let me take the queries if there is any query. Okay, there is one query in the last session. Somebody asked in case of slum sale. That sir, in case of slum sale, what we should do if query was something like this, that in case of slum sale, there is a fixed assets value as per income tax has been given, suppose 500 lakh, and as per books of accounts, it's suppose 540 lakh. So for the calculation of net worth, we have to calculate the net worth for the purpose of slum sale. Which value we should take, whether it's as per income tax or whether it's per books of accounts. So the provision says that for depreciable asset, we have to take the value as per income tax. So if these are depreciable asset has been given, then we have to take the 500 lakh rupees for the purpose of net worth calculation. For non-depreciable asset, or we can say other asset, the value as per books of account needs to be taken for the purpose of calculation of net worth. I do not know who asked that question, but if you are watching, so that is the answer of your query. Okay. Santosh Das, today I got advocate certificate of practice. Congratulations, Vakil Saab. Next is Mr. Prashant Gautam is asking, sir, please explain once again the short-term and long-term capital asset. Prashant ji, we have discussed this topic in, I guess, session 1. That was on, I guess, 7th of December. So please watch that class. You will be able to understand the meaning of short-term and long-term. Okay. Madhav Tiwari is asking, sir, two residential houses allowable. So if I sold one house and purchased two houses with that price, that is exempt. Madhav, we are going to discuss section 54, and after section 54 and the exemption part, I will solve these query, because if you're asking this question, we does not even cover this provision yet. So other student will not be able to understand. So when I complete the exemption part, section 54, 54, etc. After that, please ask me this query. So I will answer it. So all other can also understand what we are discussing. Okay. Prince Thakur is asking, can you repeat it again? Mr. Prince, you have a very good name, like a prince, so behave like a prince. You can scroll back and watch the video again as many as time you want. Okay. So moving on to section 54, having multiple condition, and it looks like that it's a very complicated provision. So I should say yes, little complicated, but if you will focus, if you will understand what I'm saying, and if you learn them properly, then this is going to be again easy. I've also prepared all the chart for the full capital gain chapter. The cost of acquisition chart I have already uploaded, but all other provisions, section 47, forfeited money, compulsory acquisition, conversion of capital asset, etc., etc., etc. For almost every provision, I have prepared chart also for this chapter. That is, I'm going to upload today after the class. So you can download that also and can help. They are going to help you in your study. So section 54, first investment scheme. And the provision says that section 54 says that if you transfer a residential house, RH stands for residential house. So if you transfer your residential house, so we have to first identify what we need to transfer, what we need to purchase to get the benefit of this exemption. So now we understand, to get the benefit of section 54, the first condition is you have to transfer the residential house. And what you need to purchase for the purpose of exemption are another new residential house, whether P stands for purchase, C is for construction. So section 54, every section is mutually exclusive. Mutually exclusive means if section 54 apply, then section 54B will not apply, because every section has different kind of investment scheme. So section 54 condition are exclusive in comparison to others. And it says section 54 exemption you can get only if you transfer a residential house. If you're transferring your office building, factory, commercial property, you cannot get the benefit of section 54. So you have to transfer residential house and you have to purchase a residential house, whether purchase or construction. So this is the basic condition to get the benefit. So for the purpose of availing the exemption section 54, we have to transfer our residential house, and the gain of that residential house can be exempted if you are going to purchase or construct another residential house only. This is the basic condition for the applicability of section 54. The other condition says assessee should be either individual or HUF. If you are a partnership firm, if you are a company, if you are any other person except the individual HUF, you cannot avail this exemption. So this condition you should understand. And let me give you a trick. If there is residential house involved in any exemption, residential house, then assessee will be only individual and HUF. Because only individual HUF having families and only they can have the residential house. A partnership firm is a artificial person technically. So always remember, if there is residential house, then the assessee can be only individual and HUF. Time period, the transferring asset should be long-term capital asset. The asset we transferring, the residential house we transfer, that should be a long-term capital asset. So if I transfer my residential house, which is short term, then we cannot claim this exemption. Even we are individual, even if I'm going to buy a new residential house from the sale proceed, but I cannot avail this exemption because all conditions should be satisfied. Clear? So that should be a long-term capital asset. Okay, Nagarju asked that question of slum sale. Oh, you're welcome, Nagarjun. Prabhir Datta is asking, what is RH? Mr. Prabhir, for every student, please just have patience. If I have written somewhere RH, then that means I will explain what is the meaning of RH. If I am writing somewhere LTCA, any kind of abbreviation, I am going to explain each and everything. But before I start explaining things, do not ask question. That will actually going to disturb the flow of the class. So if I have discussed this topic and I say 54 RHT, RHP and C, then you can ask. But I will definitely going to explain each and everything. I have experience of 23 years of almost teaching. No, I guess 21 year of teaching. So with the help of that experience, we teachers know that what query must be in the mind of students. So almost we understand that what we are teaching, we know that what the students might be thinking regarding this. So before completion of topic, all these kind of faculty going to answer your query even before asked by you. We have a very working in a very noble profession. Being a teacher is treated as a very noble profession. Why? Because we have a very special character. Look, if somebody is a doctor, then somebody have to get ill for his business running. There must be someone who must be in pain. Okay. So if you are an advocate, civil advocate, then somebody needs to have some kind of dispute. Then you will work, you will earn, of course. But when a teacher earns, why they are earning? Because they are giving knowledge to someone else. So they are technically educate this whole any person or a community or a class, etc. So that's why this teaching profession is that noble kind of profession, because almost all other professions have run their profession when somebody else in trouble. Generally, fine. But in our profession, in the teaching profession, we actually providing knowledge to someone. So we grow if the other person grow. And with the help of that, the whole community grow, the whole country grow, the whole world grows. So education is something which can change life completely. This is the only thing which can change your life. Education is so powerful that it can change the whole uh, life of yours, your family life, your community life, your city, your country, your state, etc. So those country having higher education percentage, that all are technically developed country. They all are growing in this world. Okay, fine. Leave that topic. Moving on to the provision. So condition one is residential house should be transferred. Residential house should be purchased or construct. Okay. Assessee should be individual and HUF, and time period should be long-term capital asset. Now the amount of exemption. This is very important. The third point. Every exemption having this kind of point, that amount of exemption, that is the most important point of every exemption. Now it says, and now when I will read this point, you might have some questions, some queries in your mind. So keep it with yourself. Do not worry. Before completion of exemption topic, before completion exemption, let me show you. Exemption topic is not going to end over here. When I will discuss section 54, these have almost 6 conditions, but sections 54 will not end here. After that, there are multiple clarifications, multiple questions I have made, or institute have made for you, of course. We have these illustration, multiple question, multiple clarification. That is all for you. Everything. You can see this exemption is till page number 11. So we will start the exemption. We are starting the exemption from page number technically 5, and this topic will end when we will reach page number 11. So till that you can ask me query, but just be patient. Let me discuss the topic. Let me take the example. Then you can ask your queries. Okay. So that's the kind of topic which is interconnected, like section 54, 54B, D, clarification, examples, all are interconnected. So we have made the examples, the clarification to make the queries more easily to understand, or your query should be solved. So just be patient and understand what I am teaching right now. Do not go forward in this topic, especially for the purpose of exemption. You might confuse yourself. So just stay there. I will teach everything. Do not worry. Everything will be clear. Okay. So amount of exemption, the amount of exemption says that amount invested in one or two residential house. So you will get the exemption in some circumstances. You will get the exemption of only one residential house purchased or two residential house purchased or constructed. Now you might be thinking, sir, when there will be one or when there will be two? Just hold on. Of course, I will explain you when there will be one or when there will be two. That's why we are teachers. Okay, so just have patience. So for the purpose of exemption, you have to transfer your residential house, and you can get the benefit of exemption if you're going to purchase or construct residential house. In some situation, you can get the benefit of only one residential house purchase, and in some situation, you can get the benefit of two residential house purchase. Now, when one and when there can be two, investment can now in two houses. In India, if you are going to buy a new house in outside India, you will not get the benefit. Okay. If capital gain does not exceed 2 crore, so if the capital gain does not exceed 2 crore, then you can get the benefit of two residential house purchased in a previous year. So if your capital gain is suppose 1.5 CR, then you can buy a house for 1 CR and another house also for 50 lakh. So you can get the benefit of both houses. If your capital gain, excuse me, does not exceed 2 CR. If it does exceed 2 CR, then you can only get the benefit of one residential house exemption. Even you purchase two residential house, but you will get the benefit of only one residential house purchase. Stay. We are having the examples of this also. Just understand the provision what I am trying to explain. So you can get the benefit of two residential house in India if capital gain does not exceed 2 crore, and two house exemption only can claim once. But this two house exemption can be claimed only once in your lifetime. If you have a capital gain in this year for 1.5 crore and you bought two houses, one for 1 crore and another for 50 lakh. Clear? So you will get the full exemption. Your capital gain was 1.5 crore. You bought two new houses for 1 CR and one is for 50 lakh. So capital gain will be zero. But now this two houses benefit exemption, you cannot claim in your lifetime. Suppose in next year also, you have the gain of 1.6 CR and you purchase two properties, one for 1 CR, other for 60 lakh. Then only you can exempt one houses, because this two house exemption is a lifetime exemption, like a lifetime achievement award. It's a lifetime exemption. Once we have the solved example, just understand what we are teaching. Okay. So two houses exemption only can claim once. If exemption claim for two house property in assessment year 24-25, then cannot claim two house exemption again in future. Only one house in a year can be claimed exempt even capital gain less than 2 crore rupees. Okay, just stay with me. We will discuss the example. You will understand everything. If capital gain increase 2 crore, if you have a capital gain exceeding 2 crore, then only one residential house exemption can be claimed. So provision says, if your capital gain is not exceeding 2 crore, you can get the benefit of two residential house exemption, but that can be claimed only once in your lifetime. But if your capital gain exceeding 2 crore, then you can only get the benefit of purchasing only one residential house. Now the new amendment has made a new entry, one more condition. Maximum amount of exemption in this case can be 10 crores. So either it's 2 or it's 1. You cannot exempt your residential house capital gain exceeding to 10 crore rupees. So the maximum investment exemption benefit is up to 10 crore. Now let me share you with the help of an example to understand this provision. Just wait. This 2 crore, 1 crore, 10 crore, these multiple condition. Now let me help you to make you understand with the help of an example. So these are the clarification. However, the capital gain in excess of 10 crores would not be taken into account for the purpose of deposit in a CGAS, capital gain account scheme, under section 54. What is CGAS? That is going to be discussed again in section 54. You can, for time being, you can understand that the benefit of investment is maximum 10 crore rupees in case of section 54. Amount utilized by the assessee for purchase or construction of new asset and the amount so deposit shall be deemed to be the cost of the new asset. Whatever you will invest in purchase or construction will be the cost of investment. The deemed cost of the new asset would be restricted to 10 crore. That means because you cannot exempt more than 10 crores. That means the cost of acquisition of the new asset cannot exceed 10 crore rupees for the purpose of exemption. The point number 1 and point number 2 says the same thing. There is no difference. It just they're trying to explain in a different manner. However, if the cost of new residential house exceed 10 crore, the amount exceeding 10 crore would not be taken into account for the exemption. Again, same thing is going to be explained third time. It means the maximum exemption that can be claimed by assessee under section 54 is 10 crore. So practically the point number 1, 2 and 3 says the same thing. So in the sum you can that the exemption section 54 cannot exceed 10 crore rupees from assessment year 24-25. This has been done from only this year. From till last year, there was no certain limit of exemption of 10 crore. Now that has been restricted to 10 CR. How it will be done? Let's see. So we are not discussing right now the 1 crore or 2 crore, one property, two property. First of all, I am explaining the 10 crore rupees maximum exemption criteria. Then I will discuss the example of that one residential house or two residential house. So serial number is 1. It says, suppose the long-term capital gain is 7 crore. Okay. Cost of new residential house is 12 crore. Amount of exemption will be taken depend upon the maximum amount we can claim it exemption. So you can see in this question, The capital gain, the first case say capital gain, long-term capital gain is 7 crore. Fine. Now less investment amount. That cannot exceed 10 crore. So we invest in 12 crore rupees. So what will be the maximum investment benefit we can take? That will be 10 crore. It cannot exceed the 10 crore. Maximum it can be 10 CR. Maximum 10 CR. But because the gain is only 7 CR, so we cannot deduct the 10 CR because exemption cannot exceed your gain. So out of this 10 CR, how much capital gain we can exempt? That means 7 CR. So my cap gain will be nil. So exemption will be only 7 CR in this case. Okay. Now the second case, the 12 CR is the capital gain. Now we can see the investment is 14 crore. So that cannot exceed 10 CR in anyhow. So maximum it's 10 CR. So out of this maximum 10 CR, we can only claim maximum 10 CR. 2 crore will be your remaining long-term capital gain for the purpose of taxability. So even he invested 14 crore, we have the gain of 12 crore, but he invested 14 CR, but we cannot exceed the exemption more than 10 CR. So investment will be maximum 10 CR. That can be claimed as exemption. Third scenario, it says long-term capital gain is 11 CR. Investment is 9 CR. So investment is below 10 CR. So the investment amount 9 CR can be full claim as exemption. Yes, we can claim because the gain is 11 CR. So 9 crore will be the exempted and 2 CR can be the taxable gain. The last case, it says long-term capital gain is 15 CR. Investment is 13 crore. So maximum benefit can be up to 10 CR. That will be deducted. 5 CR will be your capital gain. So this is how the 10 CR limit will be applicable. And I believe it's very simple. It's just a mathematics. Investment cannot exceed 10 CR. And whatever is your investment, that cannot exceed the capital gain. So out of these four, I guess this one is best. Because the gain was 7 CR. Investment was 12, that cannot exceed 10. So we have the benefit of 10, but we cannot claim the 10 because we cannot exceed the exemption, the long-term capital gain. Okay, so these are simple provisions. The 10 CR limit is very simple to understand. Now moving on to the one residential house, two residential house scene. Okay. Example also regarding this, if long you can read, go through it. It's just like the first point or second point. Example one, example two, you can do it yourself. Third also you have yourself. There is any, I will solve it for you. Do not worry, okay? These notes are for section 54. We will discuss later. I have prepared a question for you regarding that one residential house or two. This is over here. So clarification for exemption under section 54. If capital gain up to 2 CR, then two residential house can be purchased for exemption, purchase or constructed, okay? But only once in a lifetime. This benefit of two residential house exemption is lifetime benefit. If capital gain more than 2 CR, then only one residential house purchase or construction eligible for exemption. How it will be? If capital gain up to 2 CR, but two residential house exemption have been claimed in earlier year, then capital gain up to 2 CR, but only one residential house exemption can avail. You will understand with the help of this example. Example 1, assessment year 24-25, Mr. Ram is having the long-term capital gain of 180 lakh. That means 180, 1.1, 1.8 crore. It's less than 2 CR. So because it's less than 2 CR, so Ram can claim the benefit of two houses. Now the benefit has been provided. It says residential house purchase. He purchased three residential house, three. One is for 70 lakh, one is for 80 lakh, one is for 60 lakh. So we can claim any two for the purpose of exemption. Why we can claim any two? Because the gain is not exceeding 2 CR. Which two we should select? The highest value residential house should be select. So we have taken the 80 lakh highest value and the second highest was 70. So these two got the exemption and the remaining capital gain is 30 lakh. Clear? So Ram has utilized this two houses benefit in the assessment year 24-25. So he cannot claim this benefit now in future. This is the future. Now in the assessment year 27-28, Mr. Ram again having long-term capital gain of 160 lakh. He purchased again three residential house, but because he has claimed this benefit of two residential house in 24-25, now he cannot claim the benefit of two residential house in 27-28. So even he purchased three, even the gain is less than 2 CR, but he cannot get the benefit. He can only get the benefit of one residential house. So any one RH can claim, as 2 RH exemption can be claimed in 24-25. Now, I guess you should understand. Now, the second example is Mr. Raman. Now, Mr. Raman having the long-term cap gain of 3.20 lakh, 3.20 crore. So, because the gain is exceeding 2 crore, so he can only avail the benefit of one house. So, he also purchased three, but he can get the benefit of only one, and that was the maximum purchase price house, that is 80 lakh. So, any one can claim as capital gain exceeding 2 CR. In 27-28, now Mr. Ravan having gain is 190 lakh, that is less than 2 CR. He purchased again three houses. He can claim the benefit of two residential house in this year because he did not avail this benefit earlier. So out of these three, these two having the maximum value, these is going to be exempted. Balance is going to be taxable. I hope it's clear now. Okay. This is the case of two and one residential house in different scenario. If there's any confusion, you can read again that example after the class, and that will clear all the concept in your mind. So residential house under section 54. Let me explain the provision till over in Hindi, and it's very simple. आपको residential house बेचना है, residential house ही खरीदना है. assessee individual HUF होना चाहिए, टाइम पीरियड लॉन्ग टर्म होना चाहिए. दिस इज सिंपल. द थर्ड पॉइंट सेज, थर्ड पॉइंट कहता है कि या तो आप एक नया रेजिडेंशियल हाउस खरीदेंगे, उसकी एग्जेम्पशन मिलेगी, और कुछ केस में आपको दो रेजिडेंशियल हाउस खरीदने पर भी बेनिफिट दोनों का मिल सकता है. ए पॉइंट कहता है कि अगर आपका कैपिटल गेन 2 करोड़ रुपए से ज्यादा नहीं हुआ है गेन, तो आप उस साल दो रेजिडेंशियल हाउसेस की एग्जेम्पशन ले सकते हैं अगर आपका गेन 2 करोड़ से ज्यादा नहीं. अगर आपका गेन 2 करोड़ से ज्यादा है तो फिर आप सिर्फ एक ही खरीदे गए या बनवाए गए रेजिडेंशियल हाउस की एग्जेम्पशन ले सकते हैं. अगर आपने दो हाउसेस की एग्जेम्पशन बेनिफिट इसी ईयर में ले लिया, उसी ईयर में जिस ईयर में आपका गेन 2 करोड़ से कम होगा, अगर आप ले चुके हैं दो हाउसेस का बेनिफिट, तो वो लाइफ टाइम बेनिफिट है, एक ही बार मिलता है, उसके बाद दोबारा नहीं मिलता. और ये जो एक हाउस का बेनिफिट है वो आप जितनी बार चाहें हर साल ले सकते हैं. किसी भी केस में नया अमेंडमेंट आया, 10 करोड़ से ज्यादा का कैपिटल गेन एग्जेम्प्ट नहीं हो सकता. तो regarding this 10 crore, we have discussed the example, and regarding this 1 and 2 CR, 1 and 2 houses case example, we have also seen. So this might be now clear for the purpose for the Hindi students also. Now other conditions. Condition number 4. So those who are asking the question, I guess your query must be solved. Mamta Yadav is asking a question. Sir, I have a doubt. As you said, दो हाउस परचेज करने की एग्जेम्पशन एक बार ही मिलेगी, बट अगर वो हर 1-2 साल के गैप में घर परचेज करता है तो क्या नहीं मिलेगी? आई जस्ट टोल्ड यू ना, दिस इज लाइफ टाइम एग्जेम्पशन. चाहे वो हर 2 साल बाद घर खरीदता रहे, एक बार ही आप अपनी जिंदगी में एक ही बार ये दो घर खरीदने की एग्जेम्पशन ले सकते हैं. आप भले ही 5 साल बाद दोबारा बेचें, फिर भी आपको ये बेनिफिट नहीं मिलेगा. आई होप आफ्टर एग्जाम्पल इट इज क्लियर नाउ. ओके. हाँ, एक हाउस का एग्जेम्पशन हर साल मिल सकता है हर्षित, लेकिन आपको उसके लिए हर साल लॉन्ग टर्म रेजिडेंशियल हाउस बेचना पड़ेगा। तो आपको हर साल बेचना भी रेजिडेंशियल हाउस है, वो भी लॉन्ग टर्म वाला। और लॉन्ग टर्म तभी बनता है कोई हाउस जब वो 2 साल से ज्यादा के लिए आपके पास होता है। फॉर लैंड एंड बिल्डिंग the long term asset needs more than 2 years, more than 24 months to become a long term property. Okay. Srinivasan Venkatraman is asking, sir, in order to get exemption, we need to sell and purchase in the same state? No, we just need to sell and purchase in India. That's it. We do not need to sell and purchase in the same state or city, does not require. Okay. Now the condition number 4, because there is a sale and there is a purchase. So now we need to understand within a certain time, you need to purchase that new property, whether it's one residential house or two or construction. So there must be some limit within which we have to purchase or construct the property to gain the exemption. So the purchase and construction time limit has been prescribed, that the purchase or construction of one or two new residential house in India. It says purchase within 1 year before the date of transfer. Either you have to purchase within 1 year before the date of transfer. So that property investment can avail as an exemption, or purchase within 2 years after the date of transfer, or construct within 3 years after the date of transfer. So the property you want to claim as an exemption, the amount of investment you want to claim as exemption, that should be either purchased within 1 year before the date of transfer, or within 2 years after the date of transfer, or construct within 3 years after the date of transfer. So those properties only eligible for the purpose of exemption. Suppose Mr. A having a long-term capital gain of rupees 120 lakh in assessment year 24-25. Clear? The date of transfer will be given in question. We can take the today's date, okay? 19 December 2023. That's the date of transfer. So the question says that for availing the benefit of exemption, you should have a purchase of new residential house or construction of a new residential house, one or two as the case may be, because we have less than 2 CR gain. So maximum benefit of 2 residential house he can claim if this benefit have not been claimed in earlier year. If the question says that Mr. A already availed the 2 residential house benefit in earlier year, then only 1 residential house benefit can be claimed in this year. Okay. So for the purpose of exemption, the new property for which he wants to claim the exemption should have been purchased within 1 year before the date of transfer. Now this is interesting. Before the date of transfer. So we are talking about, that means from 20th December 2022, from 20th December 2022 till 19th December 2023. This is 1 year, within 1 year. So if he purchase, suppose one residential house, suppose he purchased one residential house between this time duration, suppose on 4th April 2023, he purchased a residential house worth rupees, suppose 80 lakh. One property he purchased before this date, that means suppose 10th August 2022 for rupees 95 lakh. So he can avail only the benefit of this house. This house is eligible for the purpose of exemption because this has been purchased within 1 year from the date of transfer. This has been before 1 year. So we cannot claim this house as an exemption. We cannot even consider it. Okay. This is before concept. Now it says, even if this is purchase, you can get the benefit of those residential house what you purchased within 2 years from the date of transfer. That means after the date of transfer. 2 years purchase. So that means if we'll go from here, then we have to say 18th December 2025. So if you purchase any residential house from the date of transfer within 2 years, that is also eligible for the purpose of exemption. Suppose you purchased a house within this time duration, suppose worth rupees 90 lakh. So this is also eligible for the purpose of exemption. This is also eligible for the purpose of exemption. They are fulfilling the condition. And you say, no, I will not purchase, I will construct a new property. I will construct a new house. Construction. So for the purpose of construction, the time period has been extended till 3 years from the date of transfer. Everything has been connected with the date of transfer. So that will be, so till this year, and the construction should be completed within 3 years from the date of transfer. Suppose he constructed a house within this duration, and that is worth for 95 lakh. Now you can see in this question, he is eligible for 3 residential houses. The 3 residential houses technically are eligible for the purpose of exemption. And he did not claim the maximum 2 residential house benefit in earlier years. So for the purpose of long-term capital gain, which is 120 lakh, he can claim maximum 2 house exemption. This house is out of the picture, we cannot claim it. So now this is house 1, purchase within time, construct within time. Out of these 3, which 2 we should take in? Always take the highest value houses. So we should take the construction value house, that was 95 lakh. And this house, which is purchased, 90 lakh. But we can only deduct this 95 and the remaining out of this value. That's 95 and the remaining is 25 lakh. So gain will be 0. So the time duration has been given, which says that you could purchase the property within 1 year before the transfer and you can claim the benefit of that property. You can purchase the property after 2 years, within 2 years after the date of transfer. And you can get the benefit of that property also, that is also eligible. And you can construct a property within 3 years from the date of transfer also. That is also eligible for the purpose of exemption. Okay. So in Hindi we can say, जिस दिन प्रॉपर्टी आप ट्रांसफर करेंगे जिस पर कैपिटल गेन हुआ है, तो जो नई प्रॉपर्टी आप खरीदना चाहते हैं एग्जेम्पशन के लिए, वो या तो जिस दिन ट्रांसफर हुआ है उसके पिछले 1 साल के अंदर अंदर खरीदी गई है। अगर उससे पहले खरीदी गई है 1 साल से पहले, लाइक दिस, तो ये तो वेस्ट है। तो जो 1 साल के अंदर खरीदी गई है पिछले साल में, उसका बेनिफिट हम ले सकते हैं 80 लाख, दैट इज इन दिस एग्जाम्पल। या जिस दिन ट्रांसफर हुआ है उसके अगले 2 साल के अंदर, विद इन 2 ईयर, अगर आप कोई नई प्रॉपर्टी खरीदते हैं रेजिडेंशियल हाउस एंड इफ ऑल अदर कंडीशन सेटिस्फाइड, वो भी एलिजिबल है। या अगले 3 साल के अंदर अगर आप कोई प्रॉपर्टी का कंस्ट्रक्शन कंप्लीट करा लेते हैं, तो वो भी एलिजिबल है। तो हमारे क्वेश्चन में ये 3 प्रॉपर्टी एलिजिबल है, इनमें से आप कोई भी मैक्सिमम 2 क्लेम कर सकते हैं। तो वो क्लेम करेंगे सबसे हाईएस्ट होती है वैल्यू, तो 95 और 90, लेकिन 90 में से सिर्फ हम 25 ले पाएंगे बिकॉज गेन ही उतना। सपोज अगर क्वेश्चन कहता कि मिस्टर ए हैव अवेल्ड दिस बेनिफिट ऑफ 2 रेजिडेंशियल हाउस हैज बीन अवेल्ड इन अर्लियर ईयर, तो फिर हम सिर्फ इन तीनों में से एक ले सकते थे, और वो कौन सी लेते हैं हम? ये वाली। आई होप इट्स क्लियर। So moving on to the provision. That was purchased within 1 year, purchased within 2 years, construct within 3 years. Now the B point says, very important point, newly acquired house property. Those property has been newly acquired. For those property on which we have claimed the exemption should not be transferred within 3 years after its purchase or construction. So those properties should not be transferred. At least for 3 years, you have to hold that property for which exemption has been claimed. Now you might be thinking, what will happen if we did not satisfy condition number B? If we did not hold it for 3 years. So condition C explain. If newly acquired house property transfer within 3 years, you have claimed the exemption and the provision says now the property or the asset you purchased, and on behalf of that asset, if you have claimed the exemption, then that property should not have transferred for next 3 years. But if you transfer that property within 3 years, then what will happen? The provision says the cost of new asset on sale will be reduced by the amount of capital gain exempted earlier. Now what happened? Let me explain you with the help of an example. After this example, we will go for a break and then we will resume. Then we will discuss point number 5 and 6. So this point says, suppose there's a net sale consideration of suppose 160 lakh, less there was a index cost of acquisition, suppose 70 lakh. So we have a long-term capital gain of 90 lakh. Okay. This is the residential house. So to get the benefit of exemption, we purchase a new residential house within time, one new residential house. All other conditions are satisfied. Suppose we have purchased a new residential house for rupees 80 lakh. So we will get the benefit of this exemption, 80 lakh, and 10 lakh will be the long-term capital gain on which we might have been going to pay the tax. Now the provision says, this new residential house property on which we have claimed the exemption. Clear? This should not be sale or transfer. This should not be sale or transfer within 3 years. So it can be sold after 3 years, but you should not transfer this property within 3 years from the date of purchase. But suppose question says that assessee sold this property after 1 year for rupees 135 lakh. Now what will happen? The provision says it's a violation of my provision. I asked you, you should not transfer this before expiry of 3 years. But if you transfer that, then what will happen? Then this will happen. We have to calculate the capital gain in the respective assessment year. The sale consideration, because period of holding will be short term, transferred within 1 year. And for the purpose of house, that should be at least 24 months. So it will be a short term capital asset. Sale consideration is 135 lakh. Now, because you violate the provision, so because it's a short term, we need to take the cost of acquisition. So what is the cost of acquisition? That property was 80 lakh. So now the provision says, if you transfer that property, if you transfer that after 3 years, then the normal provision of capital gain will be imposed. This will be the cost. We have to do the indexation also because it's a long-term asset. But now because it's short-term, you violate the provision, you transfer that property before 3 years. So now the provision says, whatever will be the cost of acquisition was 80 lakh. You can see that. The exemption claimed by you will be reduced from the cost. So the property costing was 80 lakh. And how much was the exemption claimed against this property? That was again 80 lakh. So the cost will be reduced by the exemption claim due to this property. So technically, the cost will be zero. So this will be your short-term capital gain. So you can see what we just did. We just take back the exemption. We just take back the exemption what we have provided because you violate the provision. And how we take back the exemption? We reduce the cost with the exemption amount. So you can see if this has not been done, then we need to deduct 80 lakh and the gain will be 55 lakh. But because you have violated the provision, so we technically reduce all your cost to nil. So that is means 80 lakh benefit has been gone. Suppose in this example only, long-term capital gain was 90 lakh. Those students who are thinking this cost will always be zero. No, it's not like this. Suppose the long-term gain was 90 lakh and the new residential house cost is not 80. Suppose it's 110 lakh. So we can claim the maximum exemption of 90 lakh. So this year gain will be nil. Now this has been transferred within 1 year. And the sale consideration suppose is 135 lakh. Now, if in this case, you're going to take the cost is 110 lakh. And how much exemption we claimed from this cost? Only 90. So 90 exemption will be withdrawn by reducing the cost. So now the cost will remain only 20. So it's always not be zero. It will be zero if the full cost has been claimed as exemption. But if full cost has not been claimed as exemption, then there will be some cost of acquisition remain. So the provision says only one thing, that if that property has been transferred before expiry of 3 years or within 3 years, then the cost of acquisition of that property, what it says, the cost of acquisition of that property will be reduced by the amount of exemption claimed earlier. By the amount of exemption claimed earlier. It's just a one-line provision which says if you transfer that property within 3 years, then in the time of calculation of capital gain of that property, from the cost you have to reduce the exemption claimed. So for Hindi purpose, अगर ये प्रॉपर्टी 3 साल से पहले आपने बेच दी तो उसकी जो भी कॉस्ट होगी, जो भी कॉस्ट है, उसमें से जो एग्जेम्पशन मिली है उस प्रॉपर्टी को खरीदने की वजह से उस एग्जेम्पशन को रिड्यूस कर दिया जाएगा कॉस्ट में से. तो टेक्निकली एक तरह से जो 90 लाख या 80 लाख का बेनिफिट मिला एग्जेम्पशन का, वो आपका ऑटोमेटिकली क्या हो जाएगा, चला जाएगा. क्लियर? So that was point number C of point number 4. So we discussed the condition number 4, A point, B point and C point. Now 5, 5th and 6th is very easy point. They are just a process. The main point was point number 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 5 and 6 almost same in all sections also. So that is going to be discussed after the break. Before the break, let me see if there's any query. Okay. Venkatraman is saying, sir, you can explain the study material page number 3.4342. Let me take the picture of this query, Venkatraman, and we will discuss that in the next session. Because, okay. Next, Devraj is saying good morning. Very early good morning, Devraj. Okay, good morning. Next is हर्षित जायसवाल, सर इसका मतलब ये एग्जेम्पशन कैरी फॉरवर्ड हो जाएगी फ्यूचर असेसमेंट ईयर को? नहीं, नहीं. Because you might be thinking that you can get the exemption if you purchase the new property within 2 years after the date of transfer or construct the property within 3 years from the date of transfer. So exemption हमें future year में मिलेगी नहीं, exemption इधर ही मिलेगी, इधर ही decide होगा इसी previous year में that you are able to get the exemption or not. How? This is the point number 5 and 6, what we just left it right now. So after the point number 5 and 6, you will understand that how you will able to get the exemption in this year only. And for those, even we going to purchase the property after 2 years or within 2 years or within 3 years, but still you are going to get the benefit of that exemption in this previous year, 23-24. How it will happen? That will be happen after the break. Do not worry. नेक्स्ट अर्षित जायसवाल सर, अगर दो रेजिडेंशियल हाउस का एग्जेम्पशन हम सिर्फ एक रेजिडेंशियल हाउस पे क्लेम करते हैं तो वो अगले असेसमेंट ईयर में भी क्लेम कर सकते हैं क्या? इफ दैट इज विद इन टाइम पीरियड देन आप एग्जेम्पशन इस तरह से क्लेम कर सकते हैं. दूसरा हाउस अगर बिफोर वाले टाइम पीरियड में फॉल कर रहा है, विद इन 1 year बिफोर द डेट ऑफ ट्रांसफर, तो आप क्लेम कर सकते हैं. बट अगर वो उस ड्यूरेशन 1, 2, 3 में नहीं फॉल करेगा तो आप एग्जेम्पशन क्लेम नहीं कर सकते. तो इस this exemption having a very interesting point. You might get this point if you are thinking that I just explained you that we can claim the benefit of this exemption within 2 year or 3 year even after the date of transfer. So if it is within before 1 year of transfer, then we can claim the exemption in this previous year because we already knew that we purchased the property. But how we will find that I'm going to purchase this property within 2 year or within 3 year? That is after this assessment year. Might be in assessment year 28, 29, 27, 28. So how we will decide that the assessee is going to purchase a property within 2 year or within 3 year? Because that is going to be happen in future. But exemption is going to be given in this year only, 23, 24. So in the previous year 23-24, how we will suppose to give the exemption, assuming that he is going to invest in year 24-25 or 25-26. So that is the only point we have left in point number 5 and 6 of exemption. That 5 and 6 explain how it's going to be done. So when we will resume after the break, I will explain point number 5 and 6. So Manish ji, can we go for a small break? Welcome back, everyone. So, I believe you must have your tea, coffee, water, etc. to continue the class. So, if there is any query, let me see. Devraj sir, I have late joined due to some unavoidable reason. Okay. Manohar Yadav, Sirji, what if I purchase two houses and sell one houses within 3 years? And earlier I take exemption of 80 lakh for same. An exemption will deduct from both the house or one house that was sale. Exemption will be deducted from the house you transfer from that house. So the amount of exemption you have claimed in respect of that house only, which you are selling before expiry of 3 years, is going to be reduced from the cost of only that house. Okay. Ms. Soumya Kumari is asking, sir, as per point 4A, one house property is eligible for exemption if it is purchased before 1 year from the date of transfer of the same property, then how it become long-term capital gain? No. Soumya, if I transfer property in suppose Delhi, okay, fine. If I transfer the property, suppose in Delhi, that is I purchased 10 years before, okay. So I've transferred that property today on 19 December 2023. Which property? Which is in Delhi, which I have purchased 10 years before. So that is a long-term capital asset, okay. But I have already purchased one new property. One new property, suppose in Ghaziabad or suppose in Gurgaon. One extra property, not that New Delhi property that has been purchased 10 years before. So I purchased a new property in Gurgaon within 1 year before selling that property of Delhi in Gurgaon. Fine. So if we are selling the property of Delhi, but before selling of that property, which is in Delhi now, within 1 year before, I purchased one more property in Gurgaon. So now when we sell that Delhi property, that is a long-term capital asset. And against that long-term capital asset, we can claim the exemption of that Gurgaon property, which we purchased within 1 year. So that property we purchased, we are talking about that. The property we sold, that is a long-term property. Okay. Okay. Anything else? No queries. So let's start with a short story. It's a real story, of course, of someone. So story is like this. एक छोटा सा बच्चा था 13 ईयर्स 13 साल का 13 साल का एक बच्चा था और काफी उसकी फैमिली काफी पुअर थी तो उसके फादर काफी बीमार रहते थे और फैमिली में अर्निंग का कोई बहुत अच्छा सोर्स नहीं था तो एक दिन उसके फादर ने उसको एक टी शर्ट दी एक टी शर्ट ओके एक टी शर्ट दी और बोला ये कि मैं ये टी शर्ट $1 की लाया हूँ सस्ते वाले मार्केट से एंड यू हैव टू सोल्ड इट फॉर $2 एटलीस्ट जाओ और इसको $2 में बेच कर आओ अब उस बच्चे ने सोचा कि $2 में कैसे बेचूं तो पहले उसने इस टी शर्ट को अच्छी तरह साफ किया क्लीन किया वॉश किया प्रॉपरली उसको आयरन किया अच्छी तरह उसको पैक किया और वो उसे एक रेलवे स्टेशन पर लेकर गया और रेलवे स्टेशन पर उसने वहां पर खड़ा हुआ कि किसी को टी शर्ट चाहिए 1 घंटा 2 घंटे खड़ा रहा और एक बायर मिला उसे उसने वो टी शर्ट $2 में खरीद ली वो बेचकर घर आया उसने अपने फादर को बताया कि मैंने टी शर्ट $2 में बेच दी फादर वॉज हैप्पी ओके देन व्हाट हैपेंड आफ्टर 10 or 15 days उसके फादर ने फिर से एक टी शर्ट वही वाली टी शर्ट वो एक और लेकर आए मार्केट से $1 की और कहा कि अब इसको जाओ और मार्केट में $10 की बेच कर आओ $10 उसने फिर उसे क्लीन करा अच्छी तरह पैक किया और वो रेलवे स्टेशन गया लेकिन $10 में उसे कोई बायर नहीं मिला उसे रियलाइज हो गया 2-3 घंटे में कि ये यहाँ पर कोई $10 की नहीं खरीदेगा, इट्स कॉस्टली। तो फिर उसने अपना दिमाग थोड़ा सा और सोचा, वापस गया, उस टी शर्ट को अच्छी तरह से पैक किया, मतलब वो ग्लिटर वाले पेपर में सॉर्ट ऑफ पैकिंग को बहुत अच्छे सा बनाया, और उसको लेके एक स्कूल के सामने गया। एक स्कूल था, एवरेज स्कूल, वहां छुट्टी हो रही थी बच्चों की, वहां पर उस टी शर्ट को उसने अच्छी सी पैकिंग में रैप करके वहां पर $10 का टैग प्राइस लगाकर खड़ा हुआ बेचने के लिए। लोगों को उसने ऑफर किया, और 1 घंटे के बाद उसको कोई मिल गया बायर, एक बच्चा, उसने अपने पापा से कहा उसे खरीदना है। सो ही वॉज एबल टू सेल दैट टी शर्ट फॉर $10 एंड ही केम बैक टू द होम एंड उसने अपने पापा को बताया। फादर वॉज वेरी हैप्पी। आफ्टर 10-15 डेज अब उसके फादर ने उसको वापस से वही टी शर्ट दी, बोला इसको अभी $20 में बेचना है, $20 में। एंड उसको पता था कि $20 में उस स्कूल के सामने ही कैन नॉट सेल दैट। सो उसने फिर से उसे क्लीन करा, अच्छी तरह से रैप किया, गिफ्ट रैप किया इस बार। और जो उसके घर के पास सबसे महंगा स्कूल था, सबसे अमीर बच्चों का स्कूल था, वे रिच पीपल एक्चुअली देयर, सो उधर स्कूल की छुट्टी में गया, और खुद भी अच्छे से कपड़े पहने उसने, जो उसके पास सबसे बेस्ट कपड़े थे वो कपड़े पहने, और उसको जो पैक करके लेके गया था टी शर्ट, उस सेम टी शर्ट को उसने उस पर जाने से पहले, ले जाने से पहले उस पर एक ड्राइंग बनवाई, पेस्ट कराई एक अच्छे से पेंटर से, 150 सेंट्स में एक मिकी माउस बनवाया, और मिकी माउस के साथ उसको लेकर उस स्कूल के बाहर खड़ा हो, और वहां पर उसने सेल की कोशिश करी, और वो ऑलमोस्ट उस टी शर्ट को वहां पर उसने $50 का बेचा, नॉट 20, एबल टू सेल दैट फॉर $50, जरूरत से भी ज्यादा। उसने कहा था 50 बोलता हूँ, बार्गेनिंग में 20 में बेच दूंगा, बट उसने 50 बोला, और जो बायर थे वो काफी रिच थे, उनके बच्चे को मिकी माउस की टी शर्ट चाहिए थी, एंड ही गॉट $50 एंड ही वॉज वेरी वेरी हैप्पी। देन ही केम बैक टू द होम, उसके पापा को उसने बताया, एंड ही वॉज ऑल्सो वेरी हैप्पी। एंड देन 15 दिन बाद उसके फादर ने कहा वापस से ये टी शर्ट लेके जाओ, और अब इसे $500 में बेच कर आना है। उसने कहा $500, दिस इज इम्पॉसिबल, ये तो उसे शहर में कोई भी नहीं देगा। एक दिन वो स्कूल के बाहर गया, पैक करके सब कुछ, नहीं सेल हुआ। 2 दिन 3 दिन उसे रियलाइज हुआ कि ये इस प्राइस पर तो मैं कैसे भी नहीं बेच सकता, इट्स नॉट पॉसिबल, $500 इज बिग अमाउंट, ह्यूज अमाउंट। सो देन ही केम टू नो दैट उसके शहर में एक सेलिब्रिटी आने वाले हैं। तो वो जब सेलिब्रिटी आने वाले थे, वो वहां पहुंचे जिस लोकेशन पे सेलिब्रिटी आने वाले थे। तो जब सेलिब्रिटीज आते हैं तो सब लोगों से मिलते हैं, हाय हेलो, तो वो बच्चा अपनी टी शर्ट पैक करके, रैप करके, मतलब ओपन करके, सॉरी, उस पे मिकी माउस का डिजाइन बनवाया वापस से, और उसे लेकर वहां पर उस सेलिब्रिटी से मिलने की कोशिश करने लगा, बार बार उनका आवाज लगाने लगा। तो जो सेलिब्रिटी थे उन्होंने देखा एक छोटा सा बच्चा उससे मिलना चाहता है, वो आए, उसने उस टी शर्ट पे उनका ऑटोग्राफ मांगा, एंड ही गॉट द ऑटोग्राफ। एंड जब उन्होंने ऑटोग्राफ दिया और चले गए, तो उसने वो टी शर्ट सेल के लिए वहीं पर लगा दिया, बिकॉज उस सेलिब्रिटी के बहुत सारे फैंस वहां पर थे। ऑफ कोर्स लोगों ने वो टी शर्ट $500 में परचेज करी। ही केम टू द होम, फादर को बताया, ही वॉज वेरी हैप्पी, एंड देन ही रियलाइज्ड कि टी शर्ट वॉज सेम। I was able to sell it for $2, 10, 20, 50, and even 500. So there was nothing change in t-shirt. It's all about the demand and supply. जहां उसकी सही डिमांड मैं करता हूं, ठीक तरह से पिच करता हूं, मुझे वो पैसा मिल सकता है। सो अ सिंपल टी शर्ट हैविंग ओनली $1 वैल्यू, और मैंने उसको सिर्फ क्या किया, अपडेट किया, सही जगह पर अप्रोच किया, सही तरीके से अप्रोच किया, एंड आई वाज एबल टू सेल दैट $1 टी शर्ट टू $500। So he realized if this non-living thing, this T-shirt can be sale like this. So I am a living person. I am a kid of 13 years. If I will be able to update myself and I'm ready to sell me at the right time, right place with right kind of talent or right kind of things we should have, the capability I have. So I am a living being. I can do this thing. He searched for his capability. What is his talent? And you know who is that person? Anybody knows? He was Michael Jordan, the biggest of all time basketball player in the history of basketball. He was Michael Jordan. So might be a lot of you must know about him. So he was Michael Jordan, and this was his story of his life. When he was 13-year old, he understood that if we have capability, if we can be positive, be innovative, be creative, and we know where to pitch yourself, and we need to update ourselves, of course, in any way. So he focused that now I have to invest on myself. So he became world historical. He's a legend of basketball player, Michael Jordan. So that was history, and there's a story, and this applied to everyone. So if we are able to update ourselves in the future, if we invest in upon us, if we are able to pitch ourselves correctly, correct time, correct place in front of correct person, and only when if you have the capability, the talent, and the upgradation, then you will be a successful person in your life. So that was the story of Michael Jordan. Back to the capital gain. So we discussed point number 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me revise it once again. That is section 54 says that if you have a residential house, you need to transfer. And if you are going to purchase or construct a new residential house, if you are an individual HUA, the asset should be long-term capital asset. Then you can claim the exemption under section 54. You can invest in one or two residential house. Investment in two residential house only if your capital gain does not exceeding 2 crore, and once you get the benefit of two residential house exemption, it's a lifetime exemption. You cannot claim it again in your lifetime. If your capital gain exceeding 2 crore, you cannot claim this exemption of two houses. You can only claim the exemption of one house. The maximum exemption or investment can be done in this section is now 10 CR. You need to purchase that one or two residential house for the purpose of exemption within 1 year before the date of transfer, within 2 years after the date of transfer, or within 3 years after the date of transfer. You have to construct it. If two year has been passed and you are not able to purchase, then you have to make the construction complete within 3 years, else your exemption will be lapsed. The newly property on which you have claimed the exemption should not be transferred within 3 years after its purchase or construction, as the case may be. If it has been done, if you transferred that property within 3 years, then whatever is the cost of acquisition of that property, that is going to be reduced. That is going to be reduced by the amount of exemption earlier claimed upon that property. Clear? Now the point number 5 and 6. A practical problem might be in this case is this, that we can purchase a property within 2 years after date of transfer, and we can construct a property within 3 years after the date of transfer. But we have to take the exemption in current year 23-24. Even if we can purchase till 25 or 26 construction, but we have to find out that exemption will be given. Exemption need to be given in this year only. So how it's going to be possible? Point number 5 and 6 gives the solution for that kind of issue or problem. And it's a very simple provision. Fine. So the provision says, suppose you have a long-term capital gain of rupees, suppose 90 lakh in assessment year 24-25. So we are talking about previous year 23-24. Clear? Now the provision says that we have to invest in new residential house for the purpose of purchase or construction. So for the benefit of exemption under section 54, we have to find out that we are able to get the exemption in assessment year 24 or 25 or not. So for the purpose of this, you have to take one of either of the step. Either you have to fulfill this condition or you have to fulfill this condition. The provision says up to due date of ROI, return of income, up to due date of ROI. That might be 31st July 2024 or 31st October 2024. Depends upon different kind of situation. If it's an audit case or company case, that will be 31st October. If it's a non-audit case, then it will be 31st July 24. In detail, you will be discussing this topic or this provisions in return of income, etc. provision. Okay. So that might be 31st of July or 31st of October. For previous year 23-24, we are talking. So up to due date of ROI for the benefit, for the purpose of availing the exemption under section 54, we have to fulfill either condition A or condition B. It says either you have to actual invest. That means actually you have to purchase or construction completed up to which date? Up to due date of ROI. Either up to due date of ROI, you have to actually purchase the property or actually constructed the property, and construction should be completed. So if you are able to do this, then you can claim exemption in assessment year 24-25. Suppose if you actually invest in the above example, if you actually invest in purchased or construction 60 lakh. So you can get the benefit of 60 lakh exemption under section 54. Now the problem is this, you might be thinking, this is so nonsense, this is not correct, this is injustice. Because if government want us to invest up to due date of ROI, that will be either 31st July 24 or 31st October 24. And my date of transfer, suppose, is today, that is 19th December 2023. And I got the gain of this much amount. So for the purpose of exemption, if government wants me to invest or to purchase a new residential house or construct completion of a new residential house up to 31st July 24 or 31st October 24, then what is the benefit of these 2 points which says purchase within 2 years? That means up to 18th December 25. Or construction completed within 3 years. What is the benefit of this time duration? Because you asked me to invest or construction completed as per A point up to either 31st July 24 or October. So how I will be able to take the benefit of this purchase or this construction if I am not able to purchase or actual invested up to due date of ROI? I will not get the exemption. So government says just stay, just be patient. For this problem, we have made condition number B also. So either you will have to actually invest, and if you are not able to actually invest, then we have made a scheme, that is capital gain account scheme. So you can deposit the amount you want to invest in future, the amount you want to invest in future for purchase or construction of that property. Suppose you want to invest 60 lakh rupees. So deposit that amount in CGAS scheme. In a bank, you can go and you can open or invest in this account, capital gain account scheme amount, up to due date of ROI, that is 31st of July or 31st of October. So suppose if you deposit, suppose if you deposit 60 lakh rupees in this scheme, then we will assume this as an investment. We will trust you. We will assume this that is kind of investment. that we will treat that you committed yourself, that you will invest that amount. And on the basis of your deposit, we will assume that you actually invest in purchase or construction of that property. And on the basis of this investment in this deposit, you will get the exemption in the current year 24-25. Suppose you deposit only 50 lakh, we will give you the exemption of 50 lakh. If you deposit 70 lakh, we will give the exemption of 70 lakh. So whatever you will deposit in this scheme up to due date of ROI, if the due date has been lapsed and you did not actually invest or you did not deposit, then exemption will be gone. There is no benefit of exemption you can claim, even if you are going to purchase actual property after due date of ROI, 5 days, even after 1 day, you cannot claim this exemption. So deposit amount in CGAS, suppose 60 lakh, then we will assume that it is equivalent to your investment and you can get the exemption in assessment year 24-25. Just like we will assume that it is an actual investment, but here is a twist. Practically, you just invest in the scheme. So government will expect you to use this amount. Government will expect you to use this amount for which purpose? Of course, for purchase or construct as per the above dates within 2 years for purchase or within 3 years for construction. So you have to practically invest this amount up to 2 years or 3 years. So just by a deposit, we will give you the benefit and you practically can invest up to the specific date of 25 or 26 for the purpose of purchase or construction. Now, there will be 3 circumstances for this 60 lakh rupees. It says out of this 60 lakhs, suppose 50 lakhs has been used for residential house, purchase oblique construction within time. So you cannot claim the benefit again because full 60 lakh exemption you already has been claimed in assessment year 24-25. So out of that 60 lakh, whenever you will use 50 lakh rupees practically within time, you will not get the extra benefit because you have already claimed the full 60 lakh exemption. But suppose out of that 50 you used within time, that has been already benefit has been given to you. That means suppose 6 lakh has been misutilized. That means suppose 6 lakh you withdraw from the scheme but did not utilize for the purpose of residential house. You purchased, used it for the purchase of a car, jewelry, shares, debenture, etc., or for your personal expenditure. That's called misutilization. So if any amount has been misutilized, that is going to be taxable. Taxable as the original gain, which was long-term capital gain. Taxable 6 lakh. In which year? In the year of misutilization. That will be given question. Simple. So out of that 60 lakh, whatever is going to be utilized within time, that the thing you already claimed 60 lakh. But out of that 60 lakh, technically you misutilized 6 lakh. So 6 lakh going to be taxable in the year as capital gain in the year of misutilization. And the balance 4 lakh, suppose 4 lakh has been remaining unutilized. That the time period has been elapsed, but the amount has been still in the scheme. You were not able to utilize it for the purpose of residential house, purchase or construction. So this is also going to be taxable. Taxable as long-term capital gain, 4 lakh. In the year, in which year? In the year 3 years expired. Why 3 years? Because the maximum time duration for the purpose of utilization is 3 years for the purpose of construction. So when this 3-year time period has been elapsed, so we understood that now this exemption amount cannot be claimed because 3 years has been expired. So now the time period has been completely expired. So if any amount which has not been utilized for after till 3 years going to be taxable as unutilized amount. So practically you can see we have claimed the exemption of 60 lakh, out of which 6 lakh is going to be taxable and 4 lakhs. So how much we technically utilized for the purpose of that exemption, only that amount can be claimed as an exemption automatically, that is 50 lakh. So in Hindi also you should understand, because this is a special provision, quite complicated. So might be the Hindi student will have some problem. So let me explain you in short. For the purpose of exemption, सेक्शन 54 की एग्जेम्पशन के लिए आपको दो चॉइसेस दी गई हैं. चॉइसेस 1, या तो सेक्शन 54 की एग्जेम्पशन के लिए आप ड्यू डेट ऑफ आरओआई तक, जो 31 जुलाई 24 होगी या 31 अक्टूबर 24 होगी, ठीक है, उस ड्यू डेट तक या तो एक्चुअल में आप इन्वेस्टमेंट कर लें जितने की आपको एग्जेम्पशन चाहिए. अगर आपने परचेज कर लिया नया घर ड्यू डेट ऑफ आरओआई तक, या कंस्ट्रक्शन कंप्लीट कर लिया आपने ड्यू डेट ऑफ आरओआई तक, 60 लाख 70 लाख वॉट एवर इट इज, हमने एज्यूम किया 60, तो उसकी एग्जेम्पशन आप डायरेक्टली क्लेम कर सकते हैं, देयर इज नो इश्यू. बट अगेन अगर ये काम 31 जुलाई 24 तक या 31 अक्टूबर 24 तक ही करना था, तो फिर ये 2 साल वाला बेनिफिट और ये 3 साल वाला बेनिफिट का क्या मतलब? ये तो कभी अवेल ही नहीं हो पाएगा, बिकॉज यहां तो डेट 25 और 26, बट प्रोविजन कह रहा है आपको तो 24 तक ये करना है. तो डिपार्टमेंट ने कहा हमने आपको दो ऑप्शन दिए, या तो एक्चुअल में इन्वेस्ट कर लो इस डेट तक, या फिर हमने एक स्कीम बनाई है, नाम है कैपिटल गेन अकाउंट स्कीम. आप किसी भी नेशनलाइज्ड बैंक में जाइए, इस स्कीम में अपना पैसा डिपॉजिट कर दीजिए. जितना डिपॉजिट करेंगे हम उसे आपका एक्चुअल इन्वेस्टमेंट के बराबर मानकर इसी प्रीवियस ईयर असेसमेंट ईयर में आपको एग्जेम्पशन दे देंगे. आपका स्कीम में जमा किया गया पैसा आपका कमिटमेंट मान लिया जाएगा, वैसा वाला कमिटमेंट जो कहता है ना, एक बार जो कमिटमेंट मैंने कर दिया फिर मैं अपनी भी नहीं सुनता, वैसा वाला हम मान लेंगे आपका वैसा कमिटमेंट है, अब आप इसको पूरा करेंगे ही करेंगे. उस बेस पर आपको इसी साल हम 60 लाख की एग्जेम्पशन दे देंगे. बट कमिटमेंट तो कमिटमेंट है, हो सकता है पूरा हो पाए, हो सकता है ना हो पाए. तो उस 60 लाख में से वॉट एवर यू विल यूज फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ हाउस, सपोज 50 लाख इन फ्यूचर ईयर विद इन टाइम, सो उसकी दोबारा एग्जेम्पशन तो मिलेगी नहीं, बिकॉज पूरा 60 लाख हमने आपको यहां एग्जेम कर दिया, तो इस 50 का एक्स्ट्रा कोई ट्रीटमेंट नहीं होगा. यस, अगर उस बचे हुए 10 में से कुछ भी मिसयूटिलाइज किया गया किसी और पर्पस में, कार खरीदने एक्सेट्रा में, तो वो 6 लाख टैक्सेबल होगा एज अ लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन इन द ईयर ऑफ मिसयूटिलाइजेशन, दैट विल बी गिवन इन क्वेश्चन. और अगर कुछ अनयूटिलाइज रह गया तो वो 3 साल जिस ईयर में खत्म होंगे उस साल उस बैलेंस को टैक्सेबल कर दिया जाएगा. बिकॉज मैक्सिमम इन्वेस्टमेंट का वेट गवर्नमेंट कब तक करेगी, आपका 2026 तक, कंस्ट्रक्शन वाला टाइम, तो वो मैक्सिमम लिमिट है. तब तक अगर अकाउंट का पैसा यूटिलाइज नहीं हुआ तो उसे हम अनयूटिलाइज्ड अमाउंट मानकर उस साल एज अ लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन टैक्सेबल कर देंगे. आई होप दिस इज क्लियर नाउ. सो दिस वाज section 54. This is a theoretical provision. It says if amount not utilized before the due date of ROI for acquisition of house property or construction. ठीक है, acquisition or construction. So it can be deposited with the nationalized bank in capital gain account scheme CAGS, and again it's maximum 10 crore. If deposit amount not utilized within the time limit, unutilized or misutilized amount should be taxable as original gain in the year in which 3-year expires or in the year of misutilization. Understood? I hope you understood. Now the good part is, because section 54 is having a lot of conditions, so that is a bad part, because it has multiple conditions. You have to remember each and every condition. But the good part is now the other section like 54B, D, EC and F, they all have similar kind of condition, at least 70 to 80% same condition as section 54. So that's why I explained this section. I took a lot of time to explain section 54, even in Hindi and English both. Because if you are able to understand section 54 correctly, then that is very easy to understand section 54B, D, EC, etc. Because almost all the provision 80% same. So now section 54B, it says, now you have to transfer agricultural land. So if you transfer agricultural land and you have to purchase a agricultural land. So in which section 54 you are transferring residential house, you was purchasing or constructing a new residential house. In section 54B, you are actually transferring a agricultural land. And which agricultural land? Urban area. Not rural, because rural area agricultural land, if you transfer, that is not a capital asset. Urban agricultural land, if you transfer, you might be thinking we just studied that urban agricultural land is also exempted in section 1037. No, that is urban agricultural land if compulsory acquired, used by individual HUA, multiple condition, used for 2 years and OCEC received. That is exempted. But we are talking about agricultural land transfer. So if it is not compulsory acquired, if it is just a sale, exchange, etc., then section 54B exemption can be claimed. Okay. So if it is not a rural area agricultural land, and if it is urban area agricultural land, which is not compulsory acquired, then the benefit can be claimed, but we have to purchase another agricultural land. Construction word is not there because we are talking about land and not building. Assessee should be individual HUA. Time period can be long term or short term, any time period, no issue. So whenever we talk about the residential house and land, always assessee will be individual HUA. Okay. Amount of exemption, amount invested in agricultural land. No amount limit. Whatever the amount you can invest in it. Okay. Condition almost similar as we discussed in compulsory acquisition case. It says agricultural land situated in urban area was used by SSC or his parents or HUF for a period of 2 years. Please do not get confused that this is so exempted under section 1037. It is exempted if it is compulsory acquired. Suppose I am having an agricultural land in urban area. If it is compulsory acquired, then the exemption section 1037 apply. We do not need section 54B benefit. If I'm having an agricultural land in urban area and I'm selling it to Mr. B, then you can claim this exemption. Okay. So if section 1037 not applicable, then 54B benefit can be there. So again, if it has been used prior to the date of transfer for agriculture purpose, purchase new agricultural land in urban or rural. So the new agricultural land, what you are purchasing, the transfer land should be in urban area. The new purchase land can be anywhere, whether in urban or rural. It does not matter. Sorry. The time period for exemption is 2 years. You have to purchase, you do not have that 1, 2, 3 year benefit like section 54. You have only one time duration, that is within 2 years, you have to purchase a new agricultural land. The point number B is copy paste as per section 54. It says newly acquired agricultural land should not be transferred within 3 years after its purchase. If it has been transferred within 3 years, then what will happen? The cost of acquisition, exactly same point. The cost of acquisition will be reduced by the amount of capital gain exempted. Exactly same point, copy paste. Point number 5 again same. Either you have to invest up to due date of ROI, or you can deposit in that capital gain account scheme up to due date of ROI. You will get the benefit. If the amount utilized, misutilized, that is going to be taxable. If it is unutilized, then remember it will be taxable after expiry of 2 years. Why 2 years? Why 3 years in this and why 2 year in 54B? Because the maximum amount of investment time duration is the maximum time duration for the purpose of investment is 2 year only. So after 2 year, the time period has been finished. So that is going to be taxable in the year in which 2 year expire. Okay. Almost same provision. Again, almost same provision in section 54D. Let me see if there is any query. Sir, 54 is applicable for only individual HUF and the due date of ROI is 31st July. Then why 31st October is mentioned? It's not mandatory that in every case, the due date of ROI for individual and HUF will be 31st of July. That is not mandatory. Who is asking? Srinivasan Venkataraman. If an individual is running a business also and the turnover exceeding 2 crore, so that he is going to do, he is gone for a tax audit. So if any individual or HUF is running a business also, and that business comes under section 44AB, the tax audit provision. So all those person who falls under the tax audit criteria, the due date is for those are 31st October. So might be if that individual, suppose I am running a business and my business need to be gone under tax audit provision. So my due date of ROI is 31st of October now. And if I am having a property also and I'm going to sell it, then I have to invest up to 31st of October date. So that 30th October can be applicable on me also. So there is no as such provision is straightforward that individual and HUF date will be only 31st of July. In case of businessman who is running a business as an individual or HUF, and if it goes under tax audit provision, then the due date will be 31st of October. Okay. Next is Mr. Rahul Sharma, sir, after depositing the amount in CGAS, if the assessee will die before utilization of fund, we have a specific provision regarding also. In that case, this taxability provision does not applicable. The specifically has been mentioned in case of death of an assessee, this provision will not applicable. We will discuss it also. Next. Mr. Ankur Patel asking, sir, how income tax know that it is used for the purpose? Income tax can find out everything, right? So you have to prove that that agricultural land has been used for agricultural purpose. And that for that purpose, there's a document we call that agricultural ledger. In Hindi, it's called Krishi Bahi. So that document can be taken out from the concerned panchayat or village area that it has been used for agricultural purpose or not. So we have the document to find out that is it used for agricultural purpose or not. Fine. And for the purpose of examination, that is not our concern, but practically it can be find out. Next is Mr. Nitish Kumar. Sir, if we purchase non-agricultural land and after further expenses convert into agricultural land, that can we claim exemption? Exemption is available for both kind of agricultural land. You can purchase a agricultural land where no, but at the time of purchase, if it is not agricultural land, you cannot claim the exemption benefit. Okay, you are not asking that. Your question is that if we purchase non-agricultural and after that we convert it into the agricultural land. So if it is at the time of purchase, it is not an agricultural land, then this benefit will not be available. There's a specific case, it will not be available to you. Fine. Mitesh Kumar, boy, you should have patience. You should not ask one question again and again and again. You have to be patient. I will answer that. You are asking the same question 5 times. What is the benefit of that question? I will explain it to you. Have patience. I will explain everything. Now, section 54D. It's almost the same thing, but having a different kind of scenario. Now it says compulsory acquisition. Listen carefully. Under section 54, The residential house transfer. So the benefit of this, the transfer can be sale, exchange, relinquishment, compulsory acquisition, conversion, etc. Every condition has been included. So you can get the benefit even your residential house has been compulsory acquired or sale or converted. If you purchase new property on transferring, that you can get the benefit. In this agricultural land transfer case, all transfer condition include except compulsory acquisition, because if it's compulsory acquisition, then in that situation it might get exempted under section 1037. So other than compulsory acquisition, sale, exchange, everything has been included. But 54D is only applicable if that is a compulsory acquisition. Only one condition is included, compulsory acquisition. So 54D will not be applicable if it is a normal sale, exchange, etc. What 54D says, it says if there is my factory building, factory land and building, this is my factory, suppose my factory, and this factory has been compulsory acquired by government. Now this compensation on acquiring of factory building will not be exempt, because section 1037 only exempt agricultural land compulsory acquisition. So this compulsory acquisition is normal transfer definition. Government will pay you OC and EC. That is going to be taxable as per the provision of section 45(5). But government is giving a benefit because we acquired your factory, your business due to any purpose for highway, for airport, etc. And we are going to give you the OC or EC. But we are giving you one more benefit, that from that OC or EC, if you purchase new factory building at any place, that whatever investment will be done in the land and building for that factory, that can be claimed as exemption under section 54D. So please listen carefully. Section 54 deals with transfer, whether it's exchange, sale, relinquishment, compulsory acquisition, conversion, etc. anything. So if you transfer your residential house by any means and got a new residential house, purchase or construct, you can get the benefit under section 54. 54B, agricultural land transfer. So it also includes all the condition, but in my opinion, except compulsory acquisition, because in that scenario, your agricultural land will be exempt. But 54D only talks about the compulsory acquisition of factory land and building by government. And in exchange, they will provide you OCEC. That is going to be taxable as per normal case, but an advantage has been given that out of that OC or EC, if you utilize that amount for purchase of new factory building and land, that is going to be exempt under section 54D. That is compulsory acquisition of land and building forming part of industrial undertaking. That means we are talking about factory, manufacturing unit, only manufacturing unit. Okay. That is going to be transfer. So transfer include the compulsory acquisition. So this is only include one condition, that should be compulsory acquired. If I am selling my factory building from one place, sale to someone else, and from the consideration, I am going to purchase a new factory building some other place, this exemption will not be available. And what we need to invest? We need to invest in new land and building. And because there is building, so purchase as well as construction, both benefit is there. Assessee, all person. Only in the case of residential house or agricultural land, assessee will be individual HUF. In all other cases, all assessee will be included. Time period can be long term, short term. Clear? Amount of exemption, no limit. Whatever amount you will invest for purchasing of new factory, land and building, you can get the exemption. Condition almost similar like agricultural land. Industrial land, that means that factory should be used for at least 2 years prior to the date of transfer. So that factory, what government compulsory acquired, should not be a closed factory, should not be a shut down business which has not been working. It should be a working, and at least from last 2 years, it should be working condition. It should be a running factory which has been compulsory acquired by the government. What we need to purchase? We need to purchase new land and building for industrial purpose, for factory purpose, for manufacturing purpose. Now, other conditions are very simple. You have to purchase new land and building for industrial purpose, purchase or construct within 3 years after the date of compulsory acquisition. There is no 1, 2, 3, only 3 years benefit. You can see the first exemption 54 having 3 years benefit, 1 year before, 2 year after, 3 year construction. The second exemption, number 2, second exemption number, second exemption. So it is only 2 years benefit. Condition, exemption number 2, so time period is 2. This is exemption number 3, so time period is only 3 years for the purpose of construction or purchase as the case may be. Point B is same, new property cannot be transferred within 3 years. Point number C is copy paste. If it has been transferred, the cost will be reduced by the amount of exemption. Fifth point again same. If amount not utilized before the due date, again you have to invest in bank or purchase of new property. The unutilized amount or misutilized is going to be taxable as original gain in the year in which 3 year expires. Next is Manohar Yadav is asking, Sirji, how we consider that these land are rural or urban agricultural land? Can these information available in question? Yeah, that will be given in question, and I guess the rural agricultural land definition might have been discussed with you in the earlier basic concept topic or not. If you might have not been, these topics were earlier in the basic concept topic. So generally it will be given in question that what is there urban agricultural land or rural agricultural land? But if it is not given in question, then there's a definition regarding what is the meaning of rural agricultural land. I will upload the notes in the next session if you have not gone through the definition of urban or rural. So it will help you. It's a very simple definition how to find out any land, whether it's urban or rural. Okay. I will take your query screenshot. So I will explain the meaning of urban or rural also. But I believe that must be in basic chapter. But if it is not there, I will explain it. So next is section 54 EC. 54 EC says any land and building or both, but that should be long-term capital asset. And you have to purchase long-term capital asset specified. There is certain bonds or debenture that needs to be purchased for the purpose of exemption under section 54 EC. So what you are transferring in this, you can see in the earlier 3 exemption, what we were transferring, we have to purchase the same thing. Section 54, residential house, what we need to purchase? Residential house. Section 54B, agricultural land, agricultural land. 54D, factory land and building, factory land and building. But now the things are going to be changed. 54 EC says we are going to transfer land and building or both, which should be long term. And we have to purchase not land and building, specified bonds and debenture. What are specified bonds and debenture? We will discuss. The maximum exemption limit is only 50 lakh in this section. That means only 50 lakh exemption you can claim by investing in specific bonds and debenture. Available to all assessee. Time period है long-term capital asset. Amount of exemption, amount invest in long-term NHAI, RECL, PFC, IRFC or any other notified bond, those are redeemable after 5 years. Full form of these bonds have been written later in this topic. The time duration for investment is just 6 months, only 6 months. There is no year concept like exemption 1 having 1 to 3 years. 2 having 2 years, 3 having 3 years. Now this is 6 months only time. Assessee has within a period of 6 months from the date of transfer, invest in long-term specified asset. The name has been given over here, the full form, NHAI, RECL, National Highway Authority, electrification, you can read it. Now the condition B says newly acquired property should not be transferred or 5 years. In earlier 3 exemption, the time duration is 3 years. Now for this exemption, you cannot transfer those securities for next 5 years. What happens if we will transfer it? In earlier 3 section, it said that if you transfer those property, section 54, 54B, 54D, it says if you transfer within 3 years, then the cost of acquisition of that property will be reduced by the amount of capital gain exempted earlier. But this provision is going to be changed in section 54 EC and 54F. So for section 54, 54B, 54D, if you transfer within certain time, the concept is same for all 3 sections. Your cost is going to be reduced. But for 54 EC and 54F, this provision is going to be changed. What is the difference? Let me explain you. For section 54, 54B and 54D, the provision is different, and for the purpose of section 54 EC and 54F yet to discuss, the provision is same. So suppose there is a long-term capital gain of rupees 90 lakh and we invest in a specified asset, residential house, agricultural land, factory building, etc. Depends upon the specific section. Suppose we invest rupees 110 lakh over here. So we will get the benefit of 90 lakh only. So that is nil. Discussing again because to show you the comparison. So now these assets should not be transferred within 3 years. Should not transfer. But suppose if associate transfer that sold these property within 1 year. For rupees sale consideration, suppose 130 lakh. Now these 3 sections says the treatment will be same, whether it's 54, B or D, it says whatever is your cost of acquisition, which was 110 lakh in this case, will be reduced by the amount of exemption you have claimed. So my cost will be only 20 lakh. So this will be my 110 lakh short-term capital gain. Clear? But suppose if the same question in 54 EC, long-term capital gain 90 lakh less investment in specific bonds or 54F, suppose 110 lakh. But for the purpose of section 54 EC, you can only avail the benefit of maximum 50 lakh. You cannot claim the benefit exceeding 50 lakhs. So this will be 40 lakh. Clear? Now the provision for specified bond is 5 year. You cannot transfer. For 54F is again 3 year. Suppose the asset has been transferred in 1 year. Sale consideration is 130 lakh. Now what this provision says, it says cost of acquisition was 110 lakh. So these 3 sections says that your exemption will be reduced from the cost of acquisition. But under section 54 EC or F, you do not need to do anything with the cost of acquisition. Your full cost of acquisition is going to be reduced. If it is after 2 year or 3 year, that is going to be index cost of acquisition. So we are going to reduce normal cost of acquisition. There is no new concept. So my capital gain, short-term capital gain is 20 lakhs. So we did not cross the benefit. We did not neglect the benefit. We did not nullify the benefit of exemption what we claimed. because we did not reduce the cost. But here we have the different provision. Under section 54 EC or F, it says if you transfer that property within a specified time, whether 5 year or 3 year, then we did not do anything with the cost of acquisition, that will remain normal. But whatever capital gain exempted earlier, that is 50 lakh, that is going to be taxable again in the year of transfer. So you can see we reduce the benefit by reducing the cost by the exempted amount. But in this scenario, we are not going to do anything with the cost. Cost will be as per normal case. But the exemption, what we claimed earlier, is going to be taxable as a gain. And the change is this. This gain always remains short term. In this will remain short term, but whatever gain earlier it was, that is going to be taxable again. So that will remain long term capital gain of 50 lakh rupees. So under section 54 EC and 54 F, if you transfer the property on which exemption has been claimed before the specific time limit of 5 year and 3 year, then the cost did not affect. The cost will be as per normal case of capital gain. Normal cost of acquisition you need to reduce. But whatever capital gain has been exempted earlier, that needs to be taxable again in the same nature of gain. That was long term, so that will also be the long term capital gain, again taxable in the year you sold that property before expiry of 5 year or 3. So there is a very slight change. Over here, we reduce the exemption like this. Clear? And in this scenario, we do not need to reduce anything. We just need to taxable it again. That is this provision 54 EC and F is more easier in comparison to B, D or 54. So that is, you can see, if newly acquired asset transfer within 5 years, what will happen? It says capital gain exempted earlier will be chargeable to tax. There is no concept of reduction of cost of acquisition. And the gain will be remain the long-term capital gain. The nature will not change. That was section 54 EC. Now we have left with section 54F only. So after 54F, we will have our calculation of tax provision that we will discuss. So let me take some queries and then we will close our session for today. And then we will resume day after tomorrow. We will complete our rates of tax provision, section 54F, and the test your knowledge question with MCQs. Okay. Let me take some query. Rahul Sharma is asking, sir, can a person misutilize the amount in buying shares or bonds of a government company? How can I answer this? These are not the question. In the examination, it will be given that the amount has been utilized for the purpose of these specified bonds or not. So if it has been given in question that the bond has been purchased, then you can claim the exemption. If it has been given that he did not purchase the bonds, you will not give him the exemption. That's it. So simple. So whatever you are asking, that is a practical cases thing that is not going to be asked in examination. Okay. Parthrana, sir, it is just change in words, both cases giving taxable amount of 70 lakh. Look, if in detail, if you want to see in detail, you can find it out that it is not the change of word, it's a change of nature of gain. In section 54, 54B and D, if you transfer that property before expiry of certain time, 3 years, then the nature of gain, complete nature of gain will be same. That is short-term capital gain. But in section 54 EC or 54F, because the cost will not be affected, so that new asset gain will be short term. But the gain exempted earlier will going to be taxable again. So that will be again the same nature. It was the original gain. So the nature of gain will be changed. There will be long term and short term both. But in case of 54, 54B and D, the full gain will be only short term. Okay, so that is the change of nature of gain. And if you are thinking what is the difference or why, what will happen if the nature of gain is changed? Because long-term capital gain having different rate of tax and the short-term cap gain having separate rate of tax. So the tax liability will change if the nature of gain change. So that's why the tax will come different even if the gain will be might be same in some cases. Okay. Okay, so you got that. So there is no more queries. So please be take care of yourself, study very hard, and revise the provisions as we will have our last session of capital gain day after tomorrow. And then on 26th of December, we will have our my last session for income from other source. So that will be 5 complete heads of income will be on 26th of December. Till that, please study very hard, take care of yourself. But if there is any query, we will discuss on day after tomorrow. So Manishji, can we close the session?